I am back yet again, and this time we're going to be talking about the Miami Heat. So first off, let me say, Dwayne Wade retiring. It's gonna be hard to see him go. He's been such a great player. He's been playing lights out for the last many years. You know, a lot of great years, a couple of titles. It's gonna be hard. But, hey, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and it's time to keep pushing forward. And why not push forward with an overall guarantee, not a guarantee, a guarantee that Miami is going to acquire his son at some point. Zhaire Wade goes to college in 2020. Which means if he plays well that whole first season, it makes him viably a top 10 pick in 2021. The issue is Miami does not have a first round pick in 2021. They traded it with the Goran Dragic thing, what have you. The fact of the matter is this. They, in a way, could and should strip the whole team down to the studs, rebuild from the ground up, and let every contract fall off. Get as many assets as you can, and just pray that you can get something. And with that, I understand that they played well, that they did a lot of great things. They ended up having a reasonable season, 39-43, but now's the time to get ready for when Zhaire Wade comes out and is ready to be the future of the Miami Heat. So the fact is, it needs to be considered that long term, this rebuild has to be an easy thing. It has to be streamlined, simplified, and to a point where, yes, you're going to gain assets, but yes, you're also going to get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Now, looking at everything as a whole, I have noticed that that Justice Winslow's contract falls off in 2 years, give or take. James Johnson's contract falls off in a couple of years. Kelly Olynyk's contract falls off in a couple of years. All of these other contracts are falling off. Bam Adebayo, he's the one to mostly focus on. Focus on building around him in a way where you can get a bunch of young guys and keep building. But the two main contracts this year to focus on, well, let me start with the Ryan Anderson contract is great because instead of paying him $21 million, they're going to pay him $16 million, which clears up $5 million to afford to bring in the rookie that they've been trying to bring in. This year, they're going to be bringing in a rookie. I will get to the draft in a minute of who they should take, but that is going to help drastically. But looking at everything as a whole, Hassan Whiteside and Goran Dragic both have player options. Hassan Whiteside has a $27 million cap hold or cap, salary for next year with his player option, and Goran Dragic has $19 million. So looking at it, what do you do? Do you let them both come back and pray that you get the playoffs? Or do you trade them away? I say trade them both away. Gain as many assets as you can. And here is some of the things I would truly consider. One of the many things I would consider and I'd want to truly look into is checking on this LeBron James situation. If LeBron James is going to stay and everything the way it is stays the same, and he's going to stay and he wants to build, he wants to have people around him, then maybe offering Hassan Whiteside makes sense. Hassan Whiteside, get a couple of picks. But one other thing that they need to consider, instead of LeBron James, is focus on the other teams around LeBron. If Kawhi or KD or a few people do go to the Clippers have tradable assets, and including many, many picks that they just got for Tobias Harris, one of which is that Miami pick, which they could easily get back. So by giving up Hassan Whiteside to add to, let's just say, Kawhi Leonard and maybe Kemba Walker with the Clippers, you have that ability of the concept of, okay, you can trade them, they can take on the extra person, and they can have that ability of having that big three that could be amazing, that 3-man, incredible roster that's going to get them somewhere. And maybe in the process you get the Philly pick and the Miami pick in the process. You don't even focus on the picks from this year. Maybe that's worth it to the Clippers. But no one knows at this point. Nobody knows. But that is what I would do. I would pay attention to all these other teams, tell Whiteside and Dragic to both take their player options, and then the second they figure out where Leonard is going or where certain players are going, that's when you jump in and say, okay, here's what I want to do. And I'm looking at a concept of, if they have to give up Gallinari, that's fine. They might not want to give up Gallinari, but there's plenty of other guys, other players that they could give up. One might say they probably are going to want to keep some of the younger guys, but looking at who's on the team next year, they might want to give up Montrezl Harrell. They might want to give up Landry Shamet. They might want to give up Lou Williams. The fact is, the Clippers have $60 million in cap next year. So they could work something to gain a few extra players. They could work a few little trades here and there, unless maybe they don't want Gallinari. But with that, getting a couple of these other players off the books to bring on Whiteside does make a lot of sense. So that's what I would do. I'd focus on some of the other teams, but preferably the Clippers or the Lakers. One of the other teams that would probably be interested in Whiteside, that I could see making a trade for Whiteside, is Portland. I just don't see Portland having the assets, let alone waiting on Nurkic, let alone the money to bring on Whiteside. So those are the two I would mainly focus on if I'm Miami. Getting into the Dragic thing, I'd tell Goran Dragic, take his player option, and then the second July 1st happens, the one team I call, out of all the teams, the one team I call who I know is going to give up asset after asset after asset is the Mavericks. You offer up, because the Mavericks are walking in with so much opportunity, so much ability that no one is going to see coming. Is going to see what they have. No one's going to see it coming. And if they could team Dragic up with Luka Doncic and maybe Kristaps comes back, better than ever. Maybe they get themselves Nikola Vucevic or Jonas Valanciunas. Who knows? But the fact is, giving them that ability to do that makes a lot of sense. And to me, it works. I would call them and say, hey, listen, I know that they gave up a lot of picks for Kristaps, but the pick that they have currently, is still something. I'd take, Tim Hardaway and a pick or two just to make things work. They have $50 million in cap. They are probably going to get Kristaps for cheap. Probably for anywhere between 12 and 15 million. They're probably going to get Vucevic for about 20. So there's $35 million, call it. Giving up Hardaway for Dragic is an easy swap it's an even swap of money. So that gives them that ability of, okay, so I'm basically saying do this but give me all of the assets you can afford. Which, I get that they don't have a lot right now. They did give up, they don't have a 2019 first rounder. They don't have 2021. They don't have 2023. But the concept would be, give me a future asset at some point in time, but give me these other second rounders that they've accumulated. They've accumulated a second rounder from Miami, of course. They also acquired another second rounder that they have for 2020. I would say something along that line of, I would do pick swaps. You do a pick swap for 2020, a pick swap for 2022, and a pick swap for 2024, and a guaranteed 2025 overall. That's what I would want to consider. Pick swaps. If theirs is a better pick, we pick swap. If not, fine, we don't need it. We'll take what we have. But it gives Miami that peace of mind that we're still going to get that first rounder. We're getting other second rounders. But to pick swap 2020, 2022, 2024 gives Miami that peace of mind that maybe something can be worked around it. And that is where they can benefit from it. And getting these assets, like I said, if they can get the Miami pick back from the Clippers and sit on that pick and not have to give up all these other picks and not have to make these crazy trades anymore and draft right, they can do something incredible and build up this incredible team for when Zhaire Wade comes in and is ready to come in and play right away. And they can sign point guards 1 year at a time and pray that when Zhaire comes, maybe he's a top 5 pick. And they'll, at that point, work to have a top 5 pick with many other assets in the bank just in case they get to 7 and he falls to 3. Then they can make that trade to get what is needed to get him and anything else that's needed, anything else possible. Now, of course, yes, they probably could trade Ryan Anderson, get a couple of maybe a second rounder for Ryan Anderson, maybe get a couple of weird contracts. They might be able to do a few things here and there. But looking at it, that is what needs to happen. Try to get as many of these big contracts off the books, cleared up, so that when the time comes, you can jump right in, grab the guy you need to grab, and just have him ready to go no matter what. So, with that, you have the 2019 NBA draft, where currently Miami is sitting at about 13 or so, 13, 14. And with that, I'm looking at one guy this year. One person this year who I think is going to benefit the most out of everything. And looking at everything as a whole, I see the main asset to be considered as Romeo Langford. You need somebody who's going to step in right away, who in 2 or 3 years is going to be ready to go when Zhaire Wade comes in. And at that point, you need somebody who's going to be ready, willing, and able to help Zhaire Wade, to be his clay, basically, to be that secondary guy, and Romeo Langford fits that. Romeo Langford is going to be a very good 2-guard in this league. And that is where they need to go. There are a few other assets that they could consider, but starting over, and if they can get another pick this year, that works too. That works just as well. Get another pick, grab another player. There's a few other players that they could even consider, and do what you need to do. Now, yes, there's a few second rounders they could consider if they can get themselves a second rounder. We'll have to see what happens. 1 or 2 of the guys I'd be looking at if I was the Miami Heat would be the Martin brothers. Bringing one or both of them in could benefit well. But again, this is all just my opinion, and that is my time. I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell icon so you can see when I post that next video, and I will see you guys next time.